Hello YouTube viewers and welcome to my channel. What shame game. Hello beautiful people. Hopefully y'all can see me. I'll try to fix it down here. So I'm here to share a testimony and pretty much the timeline of me staying in the apartment that God led me to when he finally did give me permanent housing for a time. Sorry guys, hold on. I'm trying to get the camera right. So in my previous video, I went live and I recorded a previous video with my phone because I didn't want to redo the video because I don't want to miss nothing out. So I'm back now today, pretty much sharing the continuation of that video. So, as I stated previously in the original video, I was staying in a transitional housing program that God led me to, that I ran from for a while. And God led me to this particular transitional housing program for about 6 months, a little over 6 months. And while I was in this particular program, I was able to save up a little over $4,000 in a short period of time because I didn't get a job like right off the bat when I first moved there. And I encountered people while I was in this program, made relationships in this program. God used me in mighty ways when I was in this particular program that he sent me to. And so February 21st of 2025, I signed my lease to my apartment that God divinely led me to. And so the particular complex that God led me to was not a place that was in mind for me. That was not a place that I was looking towards. I just so happened to be going to a tour to view a 2-bed, 2-bath. And en route, I ended up, accidentally crossing this particular complex. And I was turning around in the complex to go to the right direction. And when I entered this complex on accident, I heard God clear as day tell me to stop and that this was the place that he wanted me to apply for. So as I pulled into this particular complex, I'm looking like, I don't like this place. It looks older. Like it was a cute little complex on the outside, but you can tell like it was an older complex and it was probably like an older community, which is nothing wrong with that because I do have a child, so I would rather it be a safer community. But the area that God has led me to since I've been in Georgia in general has been very uppity, expensive. I'm talking about $1 million houses type of communities. So God led me to this particular complex. Like I said, I turned into the parking lot on accident, going the wrong way. And as I was trying to turn around to go to the right address, I heard God speak to me clear as day that this was it. This was the place. And so I Googled it, searched it up and I Googled it and, I went to the reviews and it was just recently under new management. So the old name of the complex, whatever it was before, it was a whole new name at this point. And I can tell that the reviews were more recent from the new management. And the old reviews, like it was people talking about it was roaches and all this other stuff. I'm like, Lord, I am not moving to this place. Because I am not trying to deal with no roaches. Because if anybody knows, anybody from the South, I'm not from the South, I'm from Chicago. But anybody from the South, Georgia in particular, they have cockroaches bad here. They call them palmetto bugs. Supposedly they come from the trees. Where I'm from, I only seen them a handful of times in my lifetime. And when I did, it was in some slumlord type of situations, like the places my mama lived in when I was brought up, because we was in some rough areas because I was in the hood. Only time we would see cockroaches is if it was like a slumlord situation, dirty, you know what I'm saying, like real dirty neighborhood, like roach infested type of place. Cause I ain't trying to say I was brought up with roaches. You feel me? But as an adult, I don't deal with roaches. I don't. But moving to Georgia, I messed around and found out real quick that it's normal for cockroaches to be here, like palmetto bugs, water bugs, whatever you want to call them. So when I went to the website to check out the reviews for the place that God told me, like, this is where I want you to be, it was people talking about like it was roaches, but it was the palmetto bugs, so the ones that are normally outside and they come into the house. So neither here nor there. I go to the particular complex where I had an appointment at to go view a 2-bed, 2-bath. And as I'm looking at this particular place, I'm just like not really feeling peace. Like I like the place, but I kept having this nudge to go back to the complex that I accidentally turned into, that I know I heard God speak clearly to me and say that this is it. So around the time that I was looking for my apartment, because God literally led me on a Saturday to go look for a place. I was working at the time Monday through Friday. So I technically only had the weekends to look for a place. So the place that I had accidentally turned into, God like, go back there. And so I did. And so when I went back, I went in, and it was this guy in the office at that time. It was just him by himself, and he told me the property manager was off. And he was just like, and I was like, hey, do y'all have any 2-bed, 2-baths available? I looked online, I tried to schedule an appointment, and I haven't received a response yet, but today is my only day that I can look for a place. So I actually like need to see the place like today. And he was just like, oh well, I don't think we have anything view ready. Like we don't have nothing that's ready to be viewed right now. You know, the apartment needs to be cleaned. Mind you, it's like 6 apartments showing that it's available. So I'm like, none of these apartments is clean. Like, none of them. And so, when he told me that they didn't have anything clean, he was like, well, I'll just take your information down. And when we do have some clean ones available, we can call you. So I was like, okay, cool. All right, I'll give you my information. So at that time in my heart, my desire was for me to not have to pay anything to apply. Like, so, I have seen testimonies before on YouTube where people have said they didn't have to pay anything to apply when they went to the particular complex. Like, it was free for the application fee, and they didn't have to put like no holding fee down, because normally you have to um pay the application fee and then put like a, not a security deposit, but you'll have to put down a what do you call it? I'm just gonna say a holding fee. We just gonna say that because I can't think of the term right now. But that was the desire in my heart. I never spoke it out of my mouth, but it was in my heart, right? Thank y'all so much for the positive comments, and all the negative comments. Y'all need to go ahead and exit stage left. So when I was talking to the guy, he pretty much told me um that they didn't have nothing to show, but he would take my information down. So mind you, it's Valentine's Day weekend, because it's a Saturday. I want to say this was like around February 12th when I went into this particular place. So as I'm leaving, after I finished talking to the guy, like we clicking, like he telling me, like I said, the property manager, she was really nice, but she was off that day. He also shared with me that she stayed on the premises. And I was just like, okay, cool. He was like, so yeah, whenever you decide to apply, if you do choose to go with this complex, you'll be able to meet her. Like, she's really nice. I'm like, okay, cool, bet. So as I'm about to leave, because I had another appointment, I had like 5 different appointments set up that day to go view places. And so as I was about to leave, he gives me a brochure. And he was like, oh, here, and by the way, it's free to apply. So he told me that the application fee and the administration fee, that's what it is. He told me that the application fee and the administration fee was waived for Valentine's Day weekend. So as soon as he told me that, instantly I started smiling, because I'm knowing that this is a God wink. God like, yes, this is me. This is me telling you that this is where I want you to apply. And so Literally, when I tell y'all the desires of my heart that I had not even spoken out of my mouth, God had gave me that. So it was literally free to apply. I didn't have to put no administration fee down, which normally that can range from 150 to $150 to 500, and that's just to hold the place if you even get approved. That's not including your security deposit. I didn't have to pay anything. It was literally $0 to apply. So I took the brochure and I left. And this was, like I said, on a Saturday. So the week comes, and I had the place that I wanted to apply for. I knew that wasn't what God was telling me to apply. But I was just like, I want to live here, but I know that God was telling me, like, no, apply for the place that you went to on accident. So Monday comes, and like around 4 p.m. on that Monday, so like 2 days after I went to go see the place, I went on the website and I ended up applying for the apartment. And so when I applied, like I said, it was free. I applied for the apartment like around 4 p.m. And so once I applied, I got off of work and I went home, and I was woken up out of my sleep. And when I woke up, I checked my email, and I had an email stating that I was approved with conditions. And so me being approved with conditions meant that my security deposit was way higher. So I was just like, so my heart dropped. I'm super excited, like, oh my God, like I got approved. Because as I stated in previous videos, when I left the last complex that God misplaced me from in Illinois, I had a balance on my credit for them. It wasn't really high. It was like under $2,000. But I shared previously, if y'all want to go back and find that video about how God cleared me from an eviction. If y'all want to go back into my recent videos and watch that testimony, I talk about how God had cleared me from an eviction. The eviction was completely wiped out, like it never happened. I received state assistance to pay the balance down from 12,000 to the 1800 that was on my credit. And so when I applied for the place here in Georgia, because of that being on my credit, I had got approved, but with conditions. So anyways, ended up applying for the other place that I wanted, but God told me clear as day not to apply for it, because for that place I had to pay $75 for the application, and I had to put an additional $350 down for the administration fee. So I applied anyway. And I'm like, okay, Lord, well, I got approved for this place, so I'm getting approved for everything. This is the season of plenty. And God, like, no. I specifically told you to apply for this place and this place only. And you deliberately disobeyed me, and you went over there and applied for the other place when you know I didn't tell you to do that. So I applied, and then like the same day, later on the same day, so less than 24 hours, I ended up getting denied for that place. And normally when you apply for these apartment complexes and they do take an administration fee, you don't get that right back. You have to wait for them to like send a check and all this goofy stuff. So it would have took like 30 days for me to get that money back. But God's grace is sufficient, honey, because let me tell you, when I got denied, they put the money right back onto my card, and that is not normal. Like I said, normally when you get denied for a apartment, they send that money back in a check. They don't send it back to the card that you pay for it on. And if you know, you know. So like, as soon as I got denied, I'm like, dang, now I gotta wait 30 days to get my administration fee deposit back. They literally reversed it right back to the card that I had used, like immediately. So I lost $75, which was for the application fee, but I got my $350 right back. So anyways, fast forward, I ended up going to the property to meet the property manager. Went to go look. I went through a couple of apartments, and I found an apartment that I fell in love with, per se, because a lot of them apartments, I'm very particular, so I'm checking cabinets, all type of stuff. If I see any little thing that throw me off, I'm not gonna want to move there, because I'm very particular. I don't even like to stay in things that are used, because people abuse them. That's why these apartment complexes charge so much now, because people don't know how to take care of stuff. Like, they abuse stuff, especially when they don't own it, right? Even when they own it, people abuse it. But me, I'm a great steward over everything. I don't care what it is. Like, I'm going to treat it as if it's my own, because I don't like to stay, I don't like to be in uncomfortable situations. I like to, make sure that wherever I'm staying at, like, it's feasible, right? So I ended up going through a few places, and I fell in love with this one apartment, and it was a first floor unit. Mind you, I just recently told y'all about how cockroaches is real bad here in Georgia, like palmetto bugs and all that stuff. And I stay in a wooded area. Like, Georgia got a lot of nature, a lot of trees, right? And so the area that I was staying in particular, it was very grassy and a lot of trees, and there was a lake not too far from where I live. And so I moved on the first floor, and that was a big no-no, because literally when I first moved into my place, so rewind, I met the property manager. When I met the property manager, we clicked like instantly, right? And so upon meeting her, I learned that previously she was in a same-sex relationship. And I knew from that point on that God sent me there for an assignment. God sent me there to be an example of who Jesus Christ is to us, right? Because what y'all got to understand is, in this walk with the Lord, everything is an assignment. Just like Jesus was on assignment when he walked the earth. Everywhere that his feet tread, it was an assignment. And so, just like when I was at AT&T, it was an assignment. Anywhere that God has sent me since I have given him my yes has been an assignment. So one thing I have learned being on this journey with God is to not hold on to things, especially when you got to know your season, right? Most things are seasonal, so you have to know there's a time and a place for everything. And when God says go, it's time to go. When God says release, it's time to release. And so what I have learned being on this walk is to not have too much expectation with things that are given to me, because again, not everything is permanent. Some things are for a season. So anyways, met the property manager. She was real cool. We clicked instantly. Originally I wanted to move in February 22nd, but I didn't want to pay the proration, so I pushed the day back to March 1st. And so I gave her my security deposit on the 22nd. She gave me my keys early, because I was like, can I please get the keys so that I can move in and clean up or whatever like that, and I want to paint, because I wanted to decorate my son's room and surprise him, which I also posted a short about me decorating my son's room, because of how my son is so precious, y'all. When I tell you, this whole entire journey, he has not complained. You know how kids can be. My son has been so understanding, so patient, just a blessing, to have been on this journey with me as a child. Like, he has stewarded this well, even with me. And so I wanted to surprise him when I did get a permanent place here in Georgia. I wanted to surprise my son and decorate his room. And I do that anyway, and I have done that in the past, because I always love to give my son nice things. And even with me being in this journey and, really not knowing when I'm coming or going, my son has not really seen struggle for real. Even with me being in this journey and being in this wilderness season, my son is still not struggling. Like, my son has everything that he needs. He's used to having everything that he wants, because that's how I have raised him since he was a baby. And like I said, this is the most struggle that he has seen. And he didn't, and I can't even say that this is a struggle, because my son, again, has not been without. So I ended up getting the keys. I cleaned up the place, painted my son's room, decorated with stickers on the wall, all of that. When I moved in, so I'm going to tell y'all about the job situation, because I said previously in the other video how when God did bless me with the place and I moved in March 1st, March 10th, I lost my job. So literally 10 days after moving into my place, I was jobless. Okay. Now, when I moved into my place, my rent was paid up by the grace of God to May 1st. My rent was paid up to May 1st. And so God was very intentional even in that, because he knew that there was going to come a time where I didn't have a job. And he wanted to make sure that I was set and that I had like a safety blanket for the first few months when I first moved in there. So y'all know tax season rolls around January and up. So I filed my taxes, which I procrastinated with that last year. Filed my taxes in March. Right before I lost my job, right? And so I remember the day before I moved into my place. When I was at AT&T, I was literally about to be promoted to a assistant manager, okay? The manager that I was working under, she had put some good words in for me, good deeds in for me, which is pretty much like, she's very reliable. I really could see her being a manager, blase, blase. And so they were about to promote me, right? Literally, I had just got a raise and everything like a few weeks prior to me moving into my place. And so on February 28th, my manager was pushed to another store. Now, mind you, me and her had been working together since November of 2024. In February of 2025, they out the blue tell her, like, you got to go to a different store. Mind you, me and her was about to be assistant manager and manager. Out the blue, she was moved. So the moment that happened, I knew, like I literally felt it in my spirit. I heard it clear as day, that a change was coming, a shift was coming. Mind y'all, I had just signed my lease 6 days ago. And I was down the street. Like literally, I could walk to work. That's how close I was. And I was very intentional with finding a place around my job, right? Because I would have to get my son off the school bus. Like I stated before, I had a lot of favor there. They was allowing my son to come to work with me at a whole retail job. My son was able to come to work with me when he didn't have school. And he was sitting in the back office. All type of stuff, right? So on February 28th, right before, the day before I moved into my place, my manager got moved. They was actually trying to demote her. Hello, how y'all doing? They was actually trying to demote her. Mind you, I'm waiting for an assistant manager position. So they move her. She crying. I'm like, wait, what is going on? I'm like, I'm going with her. Whatever store she go to, I'll go to. And the store was like 40 minutes away from the store that I was currently at, which would have not made any sense because it would have been way out of the way, for me, driving wise. So from that point on, I knew. I said, yeah, a shift is coming. I'm about to leave AT&T. Like, I just knew it. I knew it. It was like a piece in my spirit that season was over with. Like, I worked at AT&T for a little over 3 months. God gave me favor at that company. I was the top salesperson in the store. I was the top salesperson in the company. Like, when I first started, exceeding my expectation every month. And for the first time, y'all, I did not make my commission. There was a time where I always made commission. Like I said, I over exceeded the expectations of what the company had expected of me. And then in February, like it was a lot of shifting happening. Like I said, my manager got shipped to another store the day before I moved into my place. Then the structure of the commission changed in a very bad way. It wasn't going to be beneficial to any of the salespeople. And so I just knew. I said, Lord, something's about to happen. It's time for me to leave here. And I knew from the time I started working at AT&T that was temporary. God used AT&T to get me into the apartment that he led me to. He knew that AT&T was going to put me in a position for me to make enough income to qualify for that place, right? So, as I said before, I was getting paid $12 an hour. Georgia is ridiculous with the pay. I was getting paid $12 an hour. God used that $12 an hour and turned it into almost $5,000 a month. I was getting overtime on the clock, and I was making great commission. So with my commission and overtime, I was making close to $5,000 a month, okay? In a very short period of time, off $12 an hour. So God used AT&T so that he could put me in a position to qualify for the place that I applied for. Mind you, my rent is about a little under $2,000, okay? That's what my rent was at the place that he sent me to. And so my manager was moved to another store February 28th. March 1st, I moved into my place. A situation had happened when I had a disagreement with the replacement manager that they sent to the store that I was at. And we ended up squashing it. We squashed it. You know what I'm saying? We had a conversation, set boundaries, right? And then I chucked it up to the game, and I was just like, listen, ain't no hard feelings, but moving forward, we know how not to approach one another. That wasn't enough, though. This happened on a Friday. On that following Monday, the owner of the company, because it was a franchise for AT&T, and then the GM came into my store. And when I was about to clock out, they called me into the back and pretty much was like, you know, we need to have a meeting about what happened last week, blah, blah, blah. And so we had the conversation, and they suggested that I be moved to another store. Now, the store that they were trying to move me to was not the store that my previous manager was at. It was a whole nother store, and it was way out of the way from where I was staying at that time. On top of that, they told me that I was no longer able to work Monday through Friday. I would have to work weekends, which I told y'all in the previous video there was favor there. I didn't have to work weekends. I worked Monday through Friday, and I made that clear when I did the interview because I had my son. Also, my manager was willing and able to work around my schedule for me to get off in enough time to get my son out of aftercare. Then they told me my son was not able to come to work with me anymore. Mind you, this is something that they agreed to do when I initially started working at AT&T. So, more of the story, the grace was lifted from AT&T. All the grace that was there, the favor that was there, it was beginning to be lifted. So, I knew that it was time for me to shift. It was time to go. It was time for me to leave AT&T, right? So, they did me dirty. When I ended up bowing out gracefully, and I quit. I told them, you know, yeah, this ain't gonna work out. Y'all already changed the commission structure. Y'all telling me I gotta go to a whole nother store that's about 40 minutes away from my house. You're telling me I can't not. You telling me my schedule can no longer be Monday through Friday when it's been that way for the last 3.5 months. And you're telling me that my son can no longer come to work when I need him to, when y'all knew that was the stipulations at the time of hiring me. So this is no longer a place for me, right? And so I bowed out gracefully, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and quit. So when I quit, I had just got a check, but I had another check coming. Y'all, when I tell y'all, my commission check, my last commission check was supposed to be over $2,000. And I think I only got like 600 of that. Not only did they wrongfully, because they didn't terminate me because they knew they couldn't, right? But they was just, the whole situation was shiesty. It was fluky. But they stole my money. They stole my commission and tried to make up this lie that I had all these chargebacks. So the warfare started happening with my income. Like the warfare started happening with my money. And so I instantly prayed against it, because at first they was telling me I wasn't going to get no commission check at all. But after I prayed against it or whatever, I ended up still getting a commission check. It just wasn't the full amount. And so I prayed, you know what I'm saying? I asked God to forgive them for what they had done. And I just was like, Lord, I know you're going to vindicate for me. Even if it don't happen right now, I'm going to get everything. Like that scripture says, I'm going to restore what the locust has eaten. I'm going to get everything that was taken from me in due season. So I was mad, but I gave it to him. I chucked it up to the game. I said, Lord, you know what, Lord, I know I'm going to get it another way. I'm going to get it back another way. And like I said, them doing me the way that they did me when I was a great steward, when I showed up for them and I worked every day. I didn't call off not one time. I came in, worked other people's shifts. Like, I was a great steward. I served very well at AT&T, as I stated previously in the other video. And so anyways, lost my job March 10th. Now, I didn't file taxes. I'm thinking, okay, Lord, I'm going to fall back on these taxes. I'm going to be able to pay my rent up for a little minute, and I'm going to be able to go get my stuff out of storage. Because mind y'all, my furniture is still in Chicago. Like, even right now, like all of my storage, all of my stuff from my last place, important things that I can't afford to lose. And when I say that, I mean like, you know, documentation, like a few things that I have of my mother in memory because she's deceased. I don't care about the furniture and stuff. I will get that stuff away. But there is things back in Chicago that I need to get out of storage. And I have not been back home since God moved me here, which was February 25th of 2024. So I have not touched Chicago's grounds since being in Georgia. Okay. So, lost my job March 10th. And I had so much peace. When I tell y'all I had so much peace, I wasn't worried about it because I knew that, for one, I thought I was going to be able to fall back on my taxes. But let me tell y'all, shortly after I lost my job, I found out that the IRS took my taxes. When I tell y'all I ain't never had no issue with the IRS, they took my taxes and told me I owed them thousands of dollars for something that happened in 2022 from an error that someone put, that the person that was filing my taxes for the last 5 years, an error that they did, something that they did not file because I was doing 1099 work. They were supposed to file an amendment, never did it. So I got audited and hit and pretty much was penalized for underpayment of my taxes. So that happened last year. Now, mind you, I'm thinking I'm finna fall back on my tax return. I just lost my job. It's cool, Lord. I'm finna get my taxes. I'll be able to pay, you know, my rent up a couple of, you know, a little longer. That wasn't God's plan. So now I done got hit in another area of my finances. So my taxes got taken. And now I owe the IRS. So now I'm just like, Lord, I don't know what this foolishness is. But this is, I did not, I did not sign up for this. And so as I be telling people all the time, like, listen, coming over here and giving God your yes, it gets ghetto. There's seasons for you to be rewarded, but it be ghetto over here sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Because you literally leaning on your faith and your faith alone. God ain't gonna always give you step-by-step instructions. He's not gonna always do that, because if he was to tell you what you were gonna endure, you would not give him your yes to begin with. I promise you wouldn't. I promise you wouldn't. So taxes got taken. Boom. So boom. Let's fast forward. May 1st comes. So as I told you, before, I lost my train of thought. Give me 1 second. As I told y'all before, my rent was paid up to May 1st, okay? So May 1st comes, and now I'm behind on my rent. So all this time that I'm not working, I never told my property manager that I wasn't working no more. Because I told y'all in the beginning, me and her kind of connected, got really close. So the whole time I'm staying in this place, we sharing meals with each other. Anytime I cook, I'm giving her food. Anytime she cooks, she's giving me food. I didn't babysit her daughter. We don't even know each other from a can of paint, for real. So like, we're like instantly, you know, locking in with this trust thing, right? So again, God is using me to speak certain things to her. Like just pretty much like using me as a vessel, right? Then I ended up meeting another neighbor. She was a Russian woman. She asked me to braid her daughter's hair. So then their relationship started. So there's two people in the complex that God led me to that I had connected with and had built, you know, friendships and relationships with. So now I'm in the Russian community. I'm trying Russian food. I'm giving my Russian friend some of my food. So like me, the property manager, and this other neighbor, we locked in, right? So now God sends me to this place, and I have these two friends that are neighbors. Now, May 1st come. So I serve, and I am a guest or a member of 2819 Church. Anybody that knows about 2819 Church, that is a Christian-based church that is located in Atlanta, Georgia. And God led me to that church, which I talked about this in a previous video, in June of 2024. So when I was working at AT&T, I wasn't going as often in person. I was looking more so online because I was working, right? And I kind of put going in person on the back burner, just being honest. So I was watching online. coming into 2025, God kept pushing me to start going back in person. And so when I was working at AT&T, he had this woman come into my job who just so happened to be a servant leader at 2819 church. So he sent her to my job to pretty much sow the seed for me to start serving. So this was like around January of 2025, right before I stopped working at AT&T. And so when I lost my job, I kept feeling the nudge for me to go back to church in person. So I started back going to church, and the first day that I had went back to church, which was in May, in person, they had opened up the invitation for new servant leaders. Now, the invitation was closed previously because they were packed to the capacity. They didn't need any more people, but they ended up moving to a new location in Atlanta, which then broadened the horizon for more visitors, and they needed more servant leaders to be able to navigate and accommodate the people. So the invitation was open for a new servant leader. So I ended up signing up for that, and it moved rather quickly. And so, long story short, I ended up getting selected to serve for this position called On the Line at 2819. So I pretty much am a servant leader of the outside. So on the line, we're pretty much outside on the line with the guests. So if you know about 2819, that church forms a line. So like the line be wrapped around the parking lot every Sunday because so many people come out and they wait in the line until the gathering that is in session. Once that is over, the line that's outside is pushing to the next gathering. So there's 3 different gatherings: the 8 o'clock, the 10:30, and the 1. So when I lost my job, God pushed me into serving, like for the church. So I started serving. The first day that I started serving for 2819 was June 1st of 2025. The moment I started serving, God had spoke to me that he was going to use the church to help me pay my rent. Now, I ended up finding this community center in the neighborhood that I live in. 2 of them. It was a church and then a community center. God led me to go to both of those places to get assistance for May, because mind you, I was paid up to May 1st. I had already had $700, which part of that my friend gave me, and then I had some of that money that I had pulled from my last check. So I had came to the table with $700, and then the 2 organizations that I used in my community. Because one thing about Georgia, they don't got assistance here. They do not have rental assistance here. One thing I would say about Illinois, you can pull rental assistance out your butt in Illinois. Like, it ain't always easy to get it. But Georgia is not big on assistance. And I learned that from being here for this year and a half. But that further goes to show how God was very intentional with sending me here, because it will only be by his grace and his power that I would make it here. Because what I'm telling y'all, God sent me here homeless. And any assistance that you get here, it's nonprofit. It ain't like state assistance. That's not how Georgia operate. It's not like that here. So I ended up going to these 2 programs in my community that was nonprofit organizations. These were private donors, okay? One place gave me a little over $200, and the other place gave me $1,100. So I combined that along with the $700 that I had of my own, and I was able to pay my rent up until June 1st. Now, boom, I started serving at the church June 1st, and God spoke to me that he was going to use the church to pay my rent when I fell behind again. So all this time that I'm without a job, I'm searching for jobs. I'm applying for jobs. Nothing's coming through, right? People referring me to jobs. This one girl that I was serving with, she had ended up recommending me to apply for this job that she worked for. And she sent me the link. When I went to go apply for the job, when I tell y'all, it had just disappeared. Like, anytime I tried to apply for something, it never worked out, because that was not a door that God was obviously trying to open, okay? So I started serving June 1st. Fast forward, we in July. So July comes, right? No, June. So end of June, my phone bill was due. So my phone bill be like around $300 some, right? I did not have the money to pay my phone bill. And my phone ended up getting cut off. AT&T didn't even warn me. They just cut it off. Okay. So now I'm out and about, and I'm like, so funny thing, God had kept putting it on my heart to reach out and ask for help. So the way that the community works of the servant leaders, we have a group chat that we communicate in. God kept putting it on my heart to ask for help, to ask the leader, the leader of my team, to put a message out pretty much asking the community for help, right? I, because of my pride, was fighting against it. I'm like, Lord, I don't want to ask for help. I don't even know these people like that. I only been serving with them for a month. Like, I don't want them to think I came and started serving because I wanted to beg for help. Like, that's not what I'm, like, no. So I was resisting that for a little minute. And so I remember one day I decided to wake up and I said, Lord, I'm going to go downtown. I'm going to go downtown Atlanta to this place to see if they could help pay my rent. Right? Y'all, I kid y'all not. I got in the car and I drove all the way to downtown Atlanta. I went to one location, and then when I was on my way to another location, mind you, I'm hearing God clear as day, like, ask for help in the chat. Like, that's what I'm telling you to do. You're not listening. So as I'm driving to this other location, all of a sudden I get a text message saying, your watch, my Apple Watch has been disconnected from my phone. So normally when that happens, I know that's indication that my phone just got cut off, because now my watch is no longer compatible with the phone because there is no data to attach it to. So when I got that message, I was like, oh no, I think my phone off. So I tried to make a call. Sure enough, my phone was off. Mind y'all, I'm downtown with no GPS. Now, my car has a GPS on it, to God be the glory. But my phone was not working, so I couldn't navigate back home. Okay? So I instantly get an attitude, and I said, all right, Lord, okay. Clearly, this ain't what you wanted me to do. So let me go back home. So I'm driving all the way back home. Man, y'all, I don't have no money to turn my phone back on. Now I have to pay past due and current. So now I have to pay AT&T almost $700 to get my phone back on, right? So I went home, brainstormed, reached out to a few people. They sent me some money. Like a couple of people sent me some money. I think I got up to like $400 or whatever like that. Was able to pay that towards my phone bill. And I didn't have to pay the whole thing, thank God, but I was able to turn my phone back on the same day. So when I turned my phone back on, before I turned my phone back on, I reached out to the young lady that I told y'all about earlier that came into AT&T, and God used her to sow the seed to tell me that I need to start serving. I text her and I asked her, I said, hey, I know I don't normally talk to you like that and I don't know you that much, but I'm just reaching out to people that I can so that I can get assistance to get my phone back on, right? She told me she was not in a position to help. She just had to get her car fixed, but the people at the church helped her get her car fixed. Now, she was on a totally different team called the Welcome Team. She ended up asking the Welcome Team, or the leader of the Welcome Team, to put a message out for her to get help to fix her car. She also shared that she struggles with pride, and God had to convict her on that and put her in a position to where she had no choice but to ask for help. So he used her again to sow the seed, to put pride aside and ask for help. So that was the first confirmation. I kept getting confirmations and was ignoring it because, again, I did not want to put my business on Front Street. So when my phone got cut off and it got turned back on, I sat with it for about a week and a half, and God kept on, impressing it on my spirit, ask for help, ask for help, ask for help. Now, June, I'm behind. I'm behind for June. Now we in July. My property manager tells me, hey, I can no longer push back delinquencies. If you are not able to pay your rent by July 10th, I will have to file for eviction. So I'm like, oh my God, I got to do something. So mind you, she tells me this at like the end of June. So finally, I put my pride aside. I reach out to another sister in Christ, which was one of the young ladies that I met when I went to the park. I talk about this in another video. Again, y'all will have to go back and watch my previous video about how I met these two women at the park that God led me to for 3 days in a row. And that's how I ended up being led to the church that I actually serve at now. I reached out to her because she's a leader over my team. And so I asked her, I said, do you think I should reach out and ask for help? She was like, absolutely. We're all about community here. That's what. Is it going? Okay, sorry, y'all. I had got a call. When we're having hard times, that's what we do. We help one another. So yeah, I suggest that you ask for help or whatever. So I told her that I was going to sit with it a little longer and I was going to pray about it. So I asked her on July 8th if I should ask for help. And she encouraged me to do so. On July 9th, I reached out to the leader, like the head leader of my team. And I asked her if I should reach out for help. And she also encouraged me. Oh, absolutely. We're all about community here. Don't be ashamed. Ask for help, blah, blah, blah. So I then went and said, okay, can you please put a message out about my situation? Right now, I owe $3,900. It was like $3,940 something, like just to say $4,000. I said I owe $3,900 right now, and it needs to be paid by tomorrow. Okay, this is what I'm telling. Hello, this is what I'm telling the leader of the team, the head leader. And so she typed the message up for me and she sent it back to me and was like, what you think about this? Is this good? I said, yes, that's absolutely perfect. So she was like, all right, I'm going to put this message out and I pray that you meet your goal. So mind you, July 8th, I asked my first friend. She encouraged me to put it out. July 9th, I asked the head leader and she ended up putting the message out at 9 in the morning. So at 9 a.m., she put it out, and she was just like, she left me anonymous because I asked to be left anonymous. She left me anonymous, and she was just like, hey, there's a mother that needs help. She's facing eviction, blase, blase. If you're willing to help, it'll be greatly appreciated. If not, you could just pray, send up a prayer, blah, blah, blah. And so when she put it out there, initially it was people looked over it, they ignored it, they didn't acknowledge it or whatever, because like I said, my balance was pretty much $4,000. So I had got two one person had Zelle me and another person had cashed at me, and the head leader who put the message out, she also had sent me a Zelle for like $50. So at this point I had made about maybe $200-300, right? So I'm like, okay, Lord, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get 4,000 out of all these people, but I'm trusting you, right? So boom, this 9 in the morning. Now we fast forward into, it's 10 p.m. And like I said, it's crickets. Like I didn't really get much. So I ain't gonna lie. I went to God and I said, Lord, now you had me do this now. And I did not want to do this, but I did it because you told me to. And I'm not gonna lie, Lord, I feel like a little embarrassed right now because I put my business out there and I feel like I'm being ignored. And I was honest with God, and I was just like, yeah, I'm a little irritated. You know what I'm saying? See, that's the thing. Like, you got to be honest because God knows your heart. Not to say that how you feel is valid, but you can't come thinking you finessing God, because he knows your true heart. He knows your true heart posture. So I came to God and I was honest with him. Like, Lord, I'm not going to lie. I'm frustrated. I'm a little irritated because like I was obedient and I did what you told me to do, and I don't see no movement. And so I took it to God and I told him, I said, I know you're not a liar. You told me that you were going to do it. So I'm believing you to do it. So like, I had my little time with God. I had my little heart to heart with him. This was at 10 p.m. No, 9 p.m. Around 10-ish, 10 p.m.-ish, going on 11 p.m., I ended up getting a text message from this person. And she said, hello, my name is T. I'm going to just say that. And God led me to sow into you. He is so intentional. But I wanted to know your name and your kid's name so I could pray for y'all. But I want to go ahead and help you pay your rent. I just want to make sure that your sewing information is correct so that I'm making sure that I'm addressing it and sending it to the right person. So I respond back to her and I said, yes, absolutely. My name is blah, blah, blah. My son's name is this. Thank you so much. She was just like, pretty much like, I'm going to give what I can. If I can help you further, let me know. And if I can help you, I will. So this is what this girl is saying to me. Mind y'all, when the leader put my message out earlier that day, she followed up with another message regarding another member on the team saying that she was leaving the team. She was leaving and going to a different team. She was being promoted to do something else, serve in a different area. So this woman who sold into me that day, she was being removed from the team that same day that my message was put out there. So had I not moved when God told me to move, had I continued to be disobedient, now, one thing for sure, two things for certain, God's timing is perfect. The timing that I did it was his perfect timing. That's when it was supposed to be done, even when I felt like I was resisting beforehand. When I put my message out there, when the leader put my message out there that I needed help, that was literally God's perfect timing, because the woman that he used, she was literally being removed from the team. So had I not put it out in that moment, she would have never seen my message, because she would have not been in the chat anymore. She would have been removed from the chat, right? So anyways, 11 p.m., she texts me, tells me, God told me to sow into you, blah, 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 blah. I thank her, blah. She like, okay, I'm going to send it to you when I get time. I go to sleep. Y'all, I woke up at 4 a.m. the next day. Mind you, eviction was going to get filed on me July 10th. The message was put out July 9th. July 10th, eviction would have been filed if I didn't have that balance. I woke up at 4 a.m. on July 10th to a $4,000 cash app. This woman sent me $4,000. One person. Mind you, I had a couple of other people sow. But one person, God used one individual to sow $4,000 into me. And I was able to pay up June and July, because I was behind June and July, because it was July 10th at this point. God used a total stranger to pay my rent. She sent me a $4,000 cash app. Y'all, when I tell you I was hyperventilating, I couldn't even breathe. I was crying. I was thanking God, because he moved in the nick of time, right at the last moment. Right at the last moment. When she sent that money, I woke up, I went into the office, talked to my property manager, showed her. She was wild. She didn't even know what to say. She was so lost for words, flabbergasted, okay? When I woke up on the 10th at 9 p.m., so less than 24 hours, God blessed me with that money. God used a total stranger to bless me with everything that I needed, right? When I put in the chat the next day, which was February 10th, the day that I was due to be filed on, I went in the chat and I said, thank you all for the prayers and those who sold into me. I met my goal. Less than 24 hours. When I put that message out there, all the people that was crickets, quiet, didn't say nothing, didn't acknowledge, they came out the woodwork, started hearting my stuff. When I tell y'all, when I put in the chat that I had met my goal, I had received 4 additional cash apps of additional close to $600 after I had already been blessed with that $4,000 from that one person. 4 more people sent me cash apps after I put in the chat that I had met my goal. Remember, I told y'all my phone had got cut off. And I was able to get it turned back on for a short time. And I pushed the payment back for about 2 more weeks. God gave me an Ephesians 3:20 moment, bro. Not only did he use one individual to give me $4,000, 4 additional people sent me more money, and now I was able to pay my rent and my phone bill. And I still had like $200 in my pocket after that. So I got a scripture that I want to share. I'm not done with this, y'all. Like I said, it's going to be a part 2. But I just want to share the first time that God moved supernaturally and used a total stranger to be a blessing to me. That woman gave me $4,000. Not only, this girl was in her 20s, young. God ended up allowing me to cross paths with her social media after she sold them to me. She was a nail tech. She is a nail tech and is trying to grow her business. And he used her to sow $4,000 into me. I had never met that woman a day in my life when we were serving on the same team. Do y'all know she sold that money into me July 9th of 2025? I didn't meet this girl until December of 2025, literally last month. I was walking down the hallway at church one morning, going back to my servant leader room, and I looked and I said, I seen her name tag. And I said, hold on. I said, did you used to be on the line? She's like, yeah. I said, do you remember me? You sold into me 4,000. Instantly, she started crying. That was the first time I seen that woman since she gave me that money. I had never met her. I met her literally almost 6 months later. 6 months later. So I want to share this scripture. Psalms chapter 55, verse 22. Cast your cares on the Lord and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. Don't stress about it. Stop worrying about what you cannot do in your control. It is out of your control. God is in control. Allow him to lead and guide your every steps. Lean out onto your own understanding and walk in faith. I promise you, if you are walking according to his will and his purpose, your every need will be met. Just like in Philippians 4:19, it says, and my God will supply every need of yours according to his riches and his glory in Christ Jesus. That's what he has in store for you, not what you have in store for yourself. See, as people, we so selfish and we want what we want. But you got to understand that God can see the beginning and the end. So I don't know who needs to hear this because I got to wrap this up because I have to go. I got to be somewhere at 2 o'clock. And I'm going to come back for a part 2. So for those of you who are on here and who are watching, whether you're new or old, I pray that you come back. I pray that this encourages you and that you stay. Okay? Subscribe if God leads you to do so. But I'm telling y'all, this ain't even the tip of the iceberg of what God has done to me in this apartment testimony alone. When I share part 2 with y'all of what he just freed me from coming into 2026, and I'm trying to keep myself together because let me tell y'all something. There is not a soul on this earth that can convince me otherwise that God is not real. I am a walking testimony. I literally am walking like a child. Do you hear what I'm saying? God is holding my hand every step of the way. I'm not leaning on to Tierra's understanding. I'm not leaning it, even the desires that I have in my heart. I release those things and I allow God to lead the way. When I tell y'all I have not wanted for anything being here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I do not have no immediate family here. They're all in Chicago. They're all in Chicago. God has placed destiny helpers in my path that I didn't have to owe anything. When I tell y'all this girl gave me $4,000, I had never seen her a day in my life until December, almost 6 months after she sold that money into me. She didn't want nothing in return. Nothing. Not only that, she shared that after she gave me that money, she went under attack with her housing situation. See, the enemy be mad, bro. The enemy be so mad. But I'm going to end it here, and I'm going to leave y'all with those scriptures. For those of y'all that's watching right now, thank y'all for staying to the end. This is almost at an hour. I pray that when I go live again, that you are able to sit and experience and be able to hear me tell the part 2 of this, because I'm telling y'all, this ain't even the tip of the iceberg, and I'm in a whole new chapter now. I'm going to just say I'm homeless again. Look, hey, but listen, to God be the glory. Y'all got to hear it. Listen. God has kept me in every season, regardless of where I was. So trust in the Lord, man. Know that he will give you everything that you need. He will give you manna. He will give you everything that you need. Endure well. Long suffering is key. because I promise you there's a reward. There's a reward at the end. I promise you that. Y'all be blessed. I'll see y'all on the next one.